Trev's phone isn't gonna
let
you
the
know,
let
she let you know.
fly.
Recording in progress.
All right, so here's the
I
deal,
have to
guys.
like
I want
consent to this. It says.
I want to just
Hold
throw
on.
this out there. This is going to be your guys' top podcast. So mind your mind your business. Okay?
Can we just address the elephant in the room? Those watching visually. Trev's just walking around his yard. He's been on a swing and a trampoline. What other apparatuses are you gonna visit, Trev?
Climb that power pole behind you.
You got any tractors out there?
I got a nice waterfowl cart. I was thinking about climbing in that.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I put a lot of work into that waterfowl cart. So
yeah.
Gentlemen, I don't know if you're aware of this. You probably aren't, because I'm kind of the numbers guy in the group, if we're going to be transparent enough.
Yeah.
4 years ago today, something pretty dang special kicked off. 4 years ago today.
Feels like 5.
Anybody?
Here are the two. You got me on this one. You got
August
me on this
26, 2017. Landed free 1.0.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Dude,
yeah, we are.
I was looking through some photos, and I was really proud of the fact that we made it happen on the anniversary date of what could arguably be one of the coolest elk hunting collaborations ever made. And man, did it start off with a bang. Probably right around this time, 4 years ago, Casey was face to face in a reprod with a Roosevelt bull elk at 6 yards.
Yeah, was that like 6 yards?
Yeah.
It might have
opening
been
day.
5.5. I don't know, but I just remember it was real easy.
And
It's
it's so easy.
So easy.
Like here, so if you back up just a little bit, here came up with this crazy idea to do this big collaboration and film it every day, right? Well, we were super nervous about
meaning you guys. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Trevor.
No, we were super nervous about so we were going to a bunch of different states, and we're like, man, Oregon, it's always tough, like it's always really tough. And it's the first week, we're still in August, the elk might not even be bugling, and we come out of the gates, and of course Casey slow plays us hard and doesn't tell anybody, but to kill a bull on opening day of what we thought was going to be the hardest state to do it.
Well, let's set this up real quick. Because
let's do a little bit of a rewind before we get to the goods.
So as you guys know, this is our good buddies, born and raised outdoors. Trent, Trevor, unfortunately, Cody and Steve could not be on tonight, but we just want to do a podcast real quick with these guys. It's going to be September real soon. These guys are going to be full-fledged busy in the elk woods doing their thing like they always do every year. We're going to be doing our thing. So we wanted to jump on a podcast and just kind of catch up. It's been a while. But yeah, let's rewind what we're talking about right now. Brian, go ahead, take the lead on that.
We're going to go way back. So I grew up just outside of Portland, Oregon, Happy Valley, Gresham, Troutdale, East County. And so my knowledge of the Born and Raised Outdoors brand was pretty prevalent in 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
Appreciate your honesty.
From the DVD days.
The old school days of the full draw film tour and also DVDs. Those were the days, boys. But I was a huge fan. I went to several of the full draw film tour events in Portland. The old, I believe it was the Egyptian Theater off Hawthorne downtown. That was kind of like the main Portland stop years ago. And I love the camaraderie. I love the brotherhood. I love the hard work, the effort. And they were doing stuff back then that not a lot of people were doing. They were mountain biking in behind closed gates. They were camping off their back, bivvy style, which back in those days, there wasn't a ton of people doing that. There just wasn't. And they were able to capture and tell stories in a way that just was so different than outdoor TV. So I was a huge fan, super, respected what they did and how they put it together, and always got to watch it on the big screen. I would take my dad and my uncle and we'd go and we'd visit. And I can vividly remember sitting in the seats of the Aladdin Theater, or the Egyptian, what the hell is called?
I think it was Aladdin.
No, I think
Aladdin.
Aladdin. Yeah. And I remember thinking that, man, one of these days I'm going to hunt with those guys. I'm going to get to know them. I don't know how, but I just, you know, you have those moments when you watch a musician or an athlete or a movie star or something. You're like, that guy seems like a likable guy. Like, I think we could be friends. Kind of had one of those moments sitting in the stands, right? Like, I feel like we could get on the same page.
I had the same thought. Hold on really quick. I had the same thought a couple weeks ago. My wife took me to Post Malone. And for whatever reason in my head, when we went, I'm like, he probably watches Hush. Like, he's a hunter. He's in like guns and stuff. I'm like, I bet he's going to bring me up on stage. He never did. He didn't even acknowledge me.
He didn't?
Really. Yeah. Me and the other 250,000 people that were there, he didn't acknowledge me. But anyway,
Nothing.
Story. Honestly, they were your Post Malones.
Hey, they were guys I had a ton of respect for, that were doing it right. They were hometown Oregon guys. And I thought it was awesome. And I met one of Cody's old business partners on a bear hunt, ironically enough, in the middle of nowhere. And that kind of like sparked the connectivity back then. I think that was around 2012. And then I think I actually met maybe Cody at one of the Full Draw Film Tour events around 2013. And then when my wife and I moved to Salt Lake in 2014, I like officially met Cody at the Salt Lake Full Draw Film Tour event. And somewhere in between 13 and 14, I believe we connected at SHOT Show, Casey, myself, and Eric, with Cody. And he was kind of like, man, you guys ought to come out and do a steelhead trip with us. We'd love to host you, be a ton of fun, get to know you guys a little bit better. And so we did that in March of, I think, 2014 or 15. It might have been 15. We rolled out to Oregon and did our first ever steelhead trip, which has since been an annual trip every single year. It's been one of our most enjoyable springtime activities. So that kind of sets the stage. These guys started in what, 07?
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
Trent, walk the people through
humble beginnings.
Yeah, what everybody was doing back in 07 and why you guys kind of came together. Like, how did Born and Raised originate?
Man, yeah, this podcast is going to go long, isn't it?
All we have is time, Trent. That's all
we have is time. Okay.
Hey, there's a lot of people that maybe caught portions of Land of the Free or some of the stuff we've done together, but I don't know if there's a ton of people that know like the true backstory of exactly how Born and Raised began, and you know, like the journey that you guys have been on to get to where you are today.
Yeah. No, Treavor and I actually, we just kind of, we'd always hunted elk actually back in the younger days, and we're just like, well, nobody films Roosevelts, nobody does it, there's nobody doing it, and we got pretty savvy in it, and we thought, well, we could make an awesome film, we could do something. And it was Treavor and I that actually kind of started the whole thing. And as a lot of people may not know, my wife and Cody's wife are actually twin sisters. So,
well, at that, real quick,
at that time they were not.
How do you and Treavor know each other?
Yeah,
we're long lost relatives. Actually.
We've been brothers for a while.
We've been brothers for a while. That's an inside joke that nobody needs to know about. So, anyways, but so Treavor and I are brothers, obviously, and so. Treavor, I mean, long story long, Treavor took out a loan from college and he bought a camera because we had no idea about anything of filming.
When you're in college.
And this goes out to everybody. That's a
good way to spend your money that you don't have.
And I honestly think that's an incredible way for people to spend their money they don't have. Like, if you get that college loan, max that thing out. You know what I mean? I mean, honestly,
to be honest, like dental school not that expensive.
Still paying on that thing.
No, I'm dropping bombs here for people. If you just have a notepad, you might want to jot some stuff down, because it's like Treavor buys this camera, and I mean, it was the holy grail. And back at the time, this was all film. This wasn't, this wasn't digital. This wasn't any of that. It was a Canon GL2 is what it was. And this was top O line back then. And we're just like, look at this. We're gonna capture so much cool stuff. You guys don't even know.
We were really, really naive. So really naive.
Yeah.
And to set the stage, like back then I was in the middle of dental school, broke as broke gets. Cody was working for North River, designing boats, I believe. Trent was cutting trees in the woods as a timber faller.
Yep.
And I hadn't even met Steve yet.
At this point, no.
At that point. And then there's someone, Ty, that we haven't mentioned yet. He was an integral part of the early days of Born and Raised. And so basically, if you think back to then, everyone listening won't understand this, but there wasn't something called YouTube really to our world. If you wanted to watch outdoor TV, you actually use something called a television.
Beautiful.
And you went on the outdoor channel and you watched it. And what it was either a turkey hunt or a whitetail hunt. And it just kind of, it was usually a guy sitting in a blind. He would shoot something over a food plot, and then he would try to promote some product. And Trent and I,
I'm trying to get back to that.
We loved watching TV and outdoor TV so much, but we're like, man, this feels like it misses the mark so much of what we love about what hunting is. And so, we wanted to try to create the more of a realness to it. And so that, I think, is where the essence of what Born and Raised Outdoors was about, and what was going to be about. It was going to be about the reality of it, whether it's boring or action packed, cool or whatever. It is what it is, and that's kind of a normal hunt for us. It's not a hunt you pay for or whatever. And so that's what we were trying to showcase, And then Trent said, well, Cody, my brother-in-law, he might be interested. And we had a chat with him really quickly. And he said, I have a buddy, Ty. And literally in a matter of a couple of weeks, we came up with this crazy idea right before season in August. I took out this loan for school. And I remember I went down to this place called Sammy's Camera or something. And I dropped $3,500 on a Canon GL2 microphone, some batteries, a charger, a lens, and a case and a tripod. And it was
the GL2 was it on high 8?
It was much larger.
Correct.
Than that.
Yes.
It was bigger than the high 8?
It was on the mini tapes.
Yes.
The high 8, right?
It was on the high 8 is exactly what it was. Yeah.
And
so it was still film at the time.
Correct. Yeah. It was film. Yeah.
And so we went to this guy. His name was James Kyle, and he was doing some editing work and stuff. And we knew nothing. I like read in the instruction manual and learned where the power button was, And he's like, guys, if you guys could just like video a little bit of this, then you can use this as like an education for next year when you video and you try to make TV. And naive as we were, it was like August 25th, like right now. And we're like, no, we're making a DVD. We're making a DVD. Yeah. We're doing it.
If you didn't have a DVD, you weren't nothing back then. Yeah.
Well, and Treavor said there was only TV, but there was honestly TV, and then there was DVDs, which were huge at the time in the hunting industry.
There was this small series called The Truth.
Oh, dude. Yeah,
the old
and
Truth.
We watched them all the time, right?
Oh, man.
And we thought, we're going to go out and crush it. Well, then we spent the first 20 days of elk season, hunted every single day in 2007.
Okay.
And we did not hear.
Preface that. We had it every single night in 2027 because
we had to.
Or 2007. Yeah, we had to work every day, so we were just hunting evenings is all we were, and
then the weekends. Yeah, and we did not hear an elk bugle for 20 days in a row. It was a little bit rough. I'm like, man, I'm sitting on this 3,500 loan. I got to start paying interest on that here in another 10 days. Guys, we got to come up with something.
Which we still have not paid back.
Yeah. Yeah, that was more of a grant money from but
so
that's
go to
okay.
bornandraisedoutdoors.com. Maybe you could buy a t-shirt, a hat, whatever you
it'll
guys
help
need.
It'll help pay that back.
That would be great. And Treavor kind of needs his bump from that.
Oh gosh. And it was a big learning curve. We hit the record button a couple of times that year, missed some amazing footage, but what it came down to, 2007, first year ever, much like how our Land of the Free project was, the last week of season, I'll never forget it. I was down in Southern California, dental school, and I flew back for the last 4 days of season. And I remember Cody killed a bull. I believe it was like a 5x7. He killed it on Monday evening after work with the guys. I arrived there, and then literally the last 3 days of season, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Trent kills a bull, Ty kills a bull, and on the last day of season, I killed a bull in the morning, and we took care of it real quick, and I made my flight back to Southern California. Same day, Sunday. The boys had to pack out some meat for me, and they ended up having to hang it, cut it up, and we tagged out 2007 in the last few days. And so we called our first DVD Tagged Out, and that's where, when you see all of our logos with Tagged Out and stuff, that's where that comes from. It was chasing a dream, hitting brick walls, and then having some success. It was pretty amazing, actually. So that's where we were born from.
I would say that's probably, first of all, I love hearing that story. Like, I love hearing the story of just not knowing, but thinking that you had this idea that you could do this thing, and you go literally and take a loan out for a camera, which you didn't know how to run. And you guys, and that was probably like one of your most iconic, in my opinion, besides like everything you've done on YouTube, like that was like your most iconic DVD, Tagged Out. I would also like to say that that's probably where the name Hollywood rose from. When you fly in, shoot a bull, and then fly out without even packing the meat out.
H-dub. Okay.
So true. That is that's such a Trev moment. I'm going to finance a camera. I don't care how much it costs.
When you finance the project,
you don't have to stick around.
And B, I've got to catch a flight. So can you guys take care of this?
Come back to dental school, boys. I want that all cut up in 2-inch steaks.
Yeah.
Vacuum packed in my freezer.
Why do you think we won't get them back as 3,700? Okay.
Yeah, it was 35. It went to 37 with interest.
Well,
absolutely.
That's what you figured.
So Tagged Out was the first DVD in kind of like the origination of Born and Raised coming together, right? It went from like maybe this could work to, wow, this is working. We actually have a product that we could distribute to the public. What was the thought process after Tagged Out? Like, did you ever think Born and Raised Outdoors could stand alone as like your full-time job, just making DVDs and stuff? Like, where were your heads at after that very first season?
No,
dude, I mean, that's where when people ask us, how do I start making money with this? It's almost, if you look back at our journey, it's almost laughable how long we did it. And it's not only did we not make money, we didn't break even. We lost buttloads of money. Year.
Buttloads is a weird number. I wouldn't say.
Hey, I cleaned it up for the viewers. I wanted to keep it, respectable, but we're talking. We would film all that time, right? And then Cody learned how to edit. He taught himself how to edit, which was incredible. None of us knew anything about it, and Cody just jumped on, stepped up, and he's like, I'm going to teach myself. And he spent hundreds and hundreds of hours learning how to do it, and going back and forth, trying to find music and doing all the editing. And then I would drive over to his house and stay at his house for 2.5 days. We would pull like 16 to 18-hour days working on this
all night.
DVD. We would do it all night long. And we would do that for about 2 months straight, all to create this 1.5-hour DVD that then did not sell.
Whoa, hold on.
It didn't sell to pay back our debts.
There was one year we made almost 10 grand. There was one year we almost made 10 grand.
Well, let's talk about the editing real quick for the people at home. Like nowadays, like from 2000, like, I don't know, 10 till now, obviously, it's very different. Everything went digital. You plug an SD card in, it records it on an SD card. You literally can plug it into the side of your computer and you can have the footage within seconds or minutes, however much footage you have. Going back to the Hi8 though, if you guys know at home, that's where I learned how to edit. Wasn't on a Hi8, but it was on an actual VHS. And it was literally like 2 VCRs next to each other, pushing record off this one or pushing play off this one, record on this one. Hi8, when you guys started this, was very similar to that. It was all tape, which means it's not digital. You can't just put it onto your computer.
Right.
No.
It is a process, a giant process. And so
that was a lot of the nights. Yeah, it was just trying to get that footage onto where you could see it on a computer screen. It was like, I remember the whole thing. It was all, when you ever push the button and then you see the words rendering, it was like, son of, it's going to take forever. Or buffering. Oh my goodness, we're done. And it's just like, all right, time for,
you had to take that tape and then you have to digitize it so you can see it on a computer. Then that's when you can start working with it, which I'm sure back then, 2007 was, I mean, what do you remember what software you guys used to edit it?
You are talking to the two wrong guys.
Cody knows.
Nowadays we have like, you guys use Premiere, we use Final Cut, there's iMovie, there's a bunch of them out there. But back in 2007, I don't even know if there was a program or what program you guys use.
That's why we had to stay up and pull all-nighters, because you had to get to a certain part of the project where you wanted to see it before you could see it. And so you would have to get all done in the editing process and then click the magic key to render it. And then you
hope it didn't crash. And hope it didn't crash in between.
And then you would wait for hours and hours and hours and hours. And then it'd be like, oh, it didn't work. And now you have to start over. And you'd be like, oh my God.
Start over.
It was crazy.
Cody had a real gift in those early years too, after he kind of learned.
He still does.
For sure. Yeah. He doesn't do it as often nowadays, but he has a real gift in how to tell a story through video. And it really stood out in 30 days, The Reason, and obviously a lot of Land of the Free. Like, he's super talented as an editor, storyteller, and certainly put in a ton of effort.
Cody was we were the founders of the Full Draw Film Tour.
Yep.
And so that's how that was kind of created, was well, what if we took this to theaters around the US,
Which back then was realistically your distribution network, right? Like, social media wasn't that prevalent in 2007, 08, 09, really. The Full Draw Film Tour was kind of the distribution network of Born and Raised Outdoors.
A little bit, yeah. We were only known,
right?
West Coast was it. I mean, really, that was it.
But you guys were selling some DVDs. Obviously,
I mentioned I mentioned that 10 grand a little bit ago. I was just like,
that was not until several years in.
Correct, but at the same time, in this kind of, I don't want to drag this out for 2 days. So, it was just like, we wanted to go out of state because we'd kind of exhausted the Roosevelt thing for our personal selves. We wanted to go out of state. We wanted to try to go and hunt Rocky Mountain elk. None of us had ever even hunted them, let alone killed one. So we were at that point where it was just like, okay, let's see what this looks like. If Born and Raised, if DVD sales can kind of make our way to do that, that's our end goal, because you guys know this as well. You've got the whole family looking at you. Your wife is going, so this hobby is sucking us dry. And so what does this really look like? You can go out and shoot elk here in the backyard if you want, And I mean, not in the backyard, but you know what I mean, around our houses where we live. And it's just like, well, but it's not doing our family any good. And this whole thing is just a giant time suck that it just, you know, it's going into. And we're like, well, so then the big, okay, well, we've watched all our quote unquote idols on TV. We're going to go on TV.
Yeah, that's the next smart thing, right? That's where the money is.
It is
So real quick,
not...
time frame 2007. You guys
sorry.
start Born and Raised, release your first DVD, right?
Yep.
2008. Is that when you guys went to TV?
No,
we weren't on TV till 2012. I think
it was a few years.
Yeah.
So you had 2007, 8, 9, 10. You didn't release videos, DVDs every year, right?
We did one DVD per year, basically.
Okay,
yes,
so you did.
But then we had to save our last one in 2000. I think maybe 11, maybe 12. Anyway, we had to save that one because they wouldn't let us show it if we wanted to do the television deal. They wouldn't let us show it on a DVD. So we're like, well, doesn't matter. We're making millions anyway. So it's just like, watch this.
Trent was not in control of the money and the debt. He had
absolutely
no idea.
not. Absolutely not. That little gig to be on the outdoor channel cost somewhere around 14 grand, which
that was way more than that.
I was gonna say that seems real light.
Yeah.
No, for the episodes that we had, it was about that. Is what?
No, I know exactly what we paid. So okay, just so you guys, if you guys don't know, when you get on TV, they don't pay you.
They don't pay you
to be on TV. They say you can pay us to be on TV. And so then you have to go find sponsors who are willing to put up some money for a project.
We thought they were paying Jim Shockey the whole time. Wasn't the case.
I think they might be paying him, but they were not paying us. Let's put it that way.
Darn it.
So the first year in, the guy called us. He said, "I have a smoking deal for you guys. Smoking deal. 35,000."
This is the guy from TV.
Yes.
Great guy.
Several times.
Great guy.
Big fan of you guys. All you guys have to do is pay us 35 grand, and you can get on TV. Well, we weren't even making that off of our DVDs per year.
Trev,
we're having trouble with your audio.
Wendy,
covering up your mics.
Sit back down on that trampoline and do not move.
Sorry. Gosh, I got excited.
Dear God, this is a podcast. This is big time, bud.
So we weren't making 35 grand off of our DVDs per year, and so that's when we went out and tried to find some help to break even, and that's what we did.
Which honestly, 35 is fairly reasonable from the numbers I've heard. Because it can get way more expensive.
He said it was a smoking deal, and like some of them go for like over 100, right?
Easy,
like
a couple hundred,
easy, couple hundred maybe.
For sure.
Okay, well, do you know why we got?
Do you know
why we got such a smoking deal?
You got the Wednesday 3 a.m. time slot?
We got a Wednesday at 3 a.m. It was amazing.
And I'm not gonna lie to you, there is a lot of it upped our female viewership a boat.
Oh my gosh, the demographic you get at Wednesday at 3 a.m.
Unbelievable.
Hey,
is that really what your time slot?
We got 3 time slots per week, and they were all so crazy random that it was just like, are people like that, you can record it, but are people watching it? And they would always just say, well, we have this many subscribers to our channel. You're like, but are that many subscribers even awake?
Casey, it's exactly what we talked about in last week's podcast.
We literally did a podcast.
We're in 3.2 million homes.
And Brian brought that up. Like, you could get Wednesday at 3 a.m. and just be totally screwed.
Yeah. So that's what we had to do for that great deal on what we paid them to be on TV. And to be honest, we worked our butts off. We did the same thing every weekend. Cody crushed it and released it on the Sportsman's Channel. And we did all that for $0 for the year. Zero.
Did you
or
break
negative.
Even?
We broke even with the sponsorship dollars. We had just enough to cover the fees to the Sportsman channel, and that was it. I
But
mean,
that's not like your gas or tags or anything like that.
oh,
No.
dude, no,
Yeah.
no,
And that TV show, was it called Uncommon Ground?
yeah.
Yeah.
And that was basically showcasing the first
Were
time
you up
we ever
at
went out of
3:30
state.
in the morning to see that?
That's
I think
probably
I
why I
caught one of
didn't
those
see it.
episodes.
I'm early to bed, early to rise guy.
We had one viewer at
See,
least.
I told you. I
I'm
told you.
pretty sure I caught the one with Wayne when the bull hits the rock or whatever.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I appreciate that. I
Yeah.
really do.
Well, so let's fast forward. Like, you guys put your time in. Like, your story is to me like one of the coolest stories, because I was at that time in my life in 2007, I was doing something I didn't want, like, I didn't love doing. I was working at a corporate America job, basically doing steel mill stuff. And I didn't know about you guys in 2007, to be honest. And then you fast forward.
Well, real quick, in this process, there came a point in time, and I don't know how long it was after the TV show, where you kind of weren't sure if it was going to continue. Like, there was a bit of a
Snafu?
I don't know what the right description is, but
Yeah.
you weren't exactly sure, will Born and Raised actually continue to exist? Because I'm assuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of it had to do with, like, there was no generation of income. It was, a bunch of guys trying to do this side gig. You've done DVDs, you tried TV. What else is really left? And where do we take this thing?
Yeah,
I'll be honest,
it was
like,
a passion project.
yeah, it was. I mean, from the start, it was.
Yeah.
I mean, I won't even lie. There was never any our ultimate goal was like, if this ever makes enough for us to go out of state hunting one of these days, that would be awesome. We never had this like ultimate goal of like quitting our jobs by any means. We never had this ultimate goal of like, what if we all did this and we could travel around the world, do this full time? That was never even like on the docket. It was just like, man, did we make like $8.65 this year? And if we did, jack. I mean, we were jacked. It was just like, we made a profit. And it was, and I think that's so cool about like moving forward. Like, it came from a labor of love. It came from a labor of just doing what we love to do, and showing people that. And then, and that's when it really took a turn as to where we could actually have an influence and I'm not saying teach people, but show people what we do, that it's not that hard, it's not. And I know I'm jumping way forward in this whole thing, but it's just like when we took you guys out and hunted, we didn't do much any different than like maybe the normal person would do without just a little bit of direction. Yeah. We did the same thing every day. It was boring as hell until it worked, right?
Well, I think that's what's cool about it is, and like what I was saying, in like 2007, I didn't even know about YouTube really at that time. Maybe I knew a little bit about it, but in 2007, I knew I wanted to do something in the hunting industry, but I was working at a steel mill and I wasn't even about to take this risk I even looked into it. Like, even back then, like, I remember like Googling, I think Google was super new at the time, but I was like, how do you get a show on TV, like on the Outdoor Network? And it was like, basically, have $150,000 or else have own a company to make it worth your while to have a TV show. And I was like, well, that's not going to happen. And I was lucky enough to have a brother that did YouTube and like kind of talked me into that. But at the same time, like, you guys saw that way before I did. Like, you guys saw your passion before I ever saw my passion. I knew I loved hunting. I knew I loved being in the outdoors. I didn't know it was something that I could literally do when you guys did it. And you guys creating DVDs was because I used to go to the Hunt Expo at that time period, the big Hunt Expo in Utah where all the big, companies come in. And I used to literally walk around every booth and just buy their DVDs. That's all I would do. I wasn't buying the other shit.
Right.
I was buying their DVDs. I wanted to watch hunting films. I didn't want to watch stuff on Sportsman's. I wanted to watch DVDs because they were big back then.
Yeah, we couldn't make it. We couldn't make it to the Hunt Expo, but
well, you should have. I would have bought like 4 of them in 4 years. You might have been even more profitable, Trent.
We could have jump started almost, I don't know, somewhere around $17.65.
Exactly.
So if we fast forward, we jump up to like 2014, which if I'm not mistaken, I believe was the last year Cody owned the Full Draw Film Tour. He sold it at some point after that. And I met him in Salt Lake, I mentioned earlier. I found this. That's a Facebook message, guys. You can see that.
Hold it back a little bit.
Is that off your MySpace page?
Yeah.
MySpace.
So it's dated the 21st of July, 2014. And I was mentioning to Cody how it was great to meet him. And I said, my good buddy has a crazy YouTube following, Casey Levere, and the Hushin channel.
He said
full-time job
in a
making
sense.
YouTube videos. And I was recommending and suggesting that Born and Raised Outdoors should really look into YouTube. Under on how many days it took Cody to reply to that message.
I would say probably the better part of a decade.
Trent?
Maybe it didn't get responded to. I don't know.
February 26, 2015.
Oh, well, there you go.
Literally, you sent one message and it took that long for him to respond.
Yeah.
Well, MySpace, I mean, service is a lot slower over here.
Ironically,
it was dial up.
It was he replied after we met him at the SHOT Show, which I thought was funny. But nonetheless,
it got replied to.
When we met at SHOT Show and we eventually agreed to like hang out and do something together, we didn't know you guys that well at all. Obviously, I knew you from a distance. Casey knew you from a little bit of seeing like some of the DVDs later on down the road. But we were like, let's do this. Like, it seems like it'd be super fun. And we headed out to Southern Oregon. We rented an Airbnb and we went steelhead fishing together. It was Casey and myself.
Eric was there.
Ryan Callahan, Eric.
Yep.
Ryan.
Cody
was Logie Bear on the first one?
No, Logie Bear wasn't until
he was on the second one, right?
I think he was third.
Yeah,
or
he
so.
was on
down
the
way. He was
second
down the way.
one.
He was on the second one.
We would not have let him come.
I remember vividly he was on the second one and he was wearing some cowboy boots. the day that you finally like hung up the keys, Trent.
Yeah, that was
the first meeting we had was amazing. We had an incredible time, caught a ton of fish.
Yeah.
We were on the river on a beautiful Airbnb.
We're at Rich's place.
What's good up, old Rich? Old Robe Rich.
Guarantee you he listens. Guarantee.
Inside joke.
Big fan.
Love you, Rich.
Huge fan.
And
not a chance.
The story goes, our buddy Eric Shoemaker and Eric Chesser had rowed across the river to try to fish, catch some steelhead. So we were kind of just casually sitting on the bank, catching up, talking shop, watching the Eric's fish across the way, which inevitably Eric Chesser caught his very first steelhead on the water, which was cool.
16-pound hen.
Yeah,
okay, it was not 16.
But
17?
We were sitting on a boulder, and the cool thing is we actually have a photo. We have a photo of this moment.
Yeah, we do.
I took a picture of Casey talking with Trent and Trevor, and there was a lot of things discussed that night. So, Case, what do you recall about that discussion and like how maybe to me, like, I think that was a cool part of this whole like friendship and where that discussion led to and how we sit here today.
I don't recall it being the first night. I recall it being the last night. Do you guys remember Fisher Brothers? Either way.
It was towards the end of the trip.
Yeah.
It was a night.
Same thing. We're sitting on a rock on our home waters, we call it, right? We'd been like driving like 20 minutes, putting the boats in and fishing. But at night we'd come back and we'd fish our home waters, like the waters right behind the Airbnb. And I remember sitting down with you guys, Trent and Trevor, and everyone else was kind of down on the river. And we were just talking about YouTube, talking about like the future of Born and Raised and all that. I remember, I think it was Trent that finally proposed the question, or maybe Trevor was like, is this something that you think that we could do and we could be successful at? And I was a little nervous to tell you yes, just because I don't want to be like, oh yeah, it's so easy, you can go crush it. But at the same time, I knew your guys' platform, I knew your guys' personalities. And I remember saying, there's not a doubt, like, if we can do it, you guys can do it. And and you both agreed, we're like, all right, cool. And that's kind of where the conversation ended.
It really was, but it was pivotal. It was super pivotal for us because I think Treavor and I took that away, and we you know, I think we reminisce a lot of times about The Rock, right? Oh man, remember the talk on The Rock, and I think that's super nostalgic and it's freaking awesome. But yeah, it was just something that was just like, I took it back to Cody. We were all a group at the time, and I took it back to Cody. And I'm like, dude, I think we can try this. We can do this. And we weren't, I mean, not like we were hating our jobs, but we weren't jazzed about our jobs at the time. But we always had this like this goal. Like when we started Born and Raised, we're like, all right, all we want to do is pay for our hunts. And then, okay, all we want to do is like pay for our hunts and actually make money, a couple dollars. And then it's just like the end goal obviously would be all, you know, to do it full time and actually to do this for a living. And it seems super unobtainable. I mean, for the first 28 years, but
you guys were super new to YouTube. YouTube at the time was pretty new to the outdoor space. I just remember thinking like how apprehensive you guys were about putting your content on YouTube. And I remember thinking that like, as much as I love DVDs, and the funny thing is like, Eric plays a big part in this because Eric, before I brought him on, before we had this conversation, worked for a company that created DVDs. That was their jam. They made a DVD like every 2 years, and they would sell them, probably break even, whatever, sell some merchandise. And the first time I talked to him in like 2014 was like, hey man, and I had followed these guys for a long time. And I was like, hey, you guys are doing some cool stuff. I think you guys should probably look into doing YouTube. I do it for a living, and I think you guys could do it. And immediately Eric was like, yes, dude, I'm trying to tell my partners about this. DVDs are dying, blah, 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 whatever. And so then that kind of opened my eyes to like people believing in this old school media, where I was in a phase in my life where I kind of knew like YouTube and digital stuff was going to start doing well, or hoped it would start doing well. And so when I talked to you guys, you were very apprehensive about, I think, social media. But at the same time, like when I had that conversation with you two that night, it was like, okay, I think we could do this, and I think we could crush it.
Yeah, well, no, it definitely did.
To be honest, we never would have done this if it wasn't for you and that rock 100%. Conversation.
And that's what I was going to say, and I'll let you finish in a second, Treavor, because I like to interrupt.
You're doing great.
I appreciate your honesty. You guys paved the way. I mean, honestly, you guys did. You guys paved the way for a lot of these, Randy Newberg, us. I mean, a lot of these people, and hats off to you guys for that. It's unbelievable.
Well, the pivotal part of that whole talk is how transparent you were, and that basically cannot be talked about enough. Is for you to be super transparent about how you were doing it, how we could actually see the end before we got started. And if we're just being totally honest with the whole crew here, like you talked about money and how much you were making and how you did it and how you worked to get sponsorship and stuff like that. And it showed us a clear pathway that before, the model that we used was DVDs or TV, but it was the wrong model for us. Like, and you showed us that YouTube was a better way for us to tell our story. Originally, we thought that, YouTube is a free content for people. So how are we going to generate income? And like, this seems like we're going backwards from selling a product, our DVDs or whatever. And it was just completely eye-opening. And it changed the whole course of, not only Born and Raised Outdoors, but I mean, like Trent said, so many more channels. It's been your inspiration that's done all of that. So that's been amazing.
That's huge, man. I appreciate that. But I always say like, I hate the phrase that somebody's like self-made, because I don't think that's true. Like somebody showed me that. Obviously, I had a brother that showed me that, and he had somebody that showed him that, and I just passed that information on. But at the same time, like that's important for me to hear, because at the time, like I'd always said, like my brother told me like at one time, what could you, if you could do anything in the world, what would you do? Like if you can make money doing anything, what would you do? And I remember at the time I said, I don't like a landscape company or, something. I enjoyed like running equipment. He goes, no, honestly, like, what would you do if you could do anything? And I was like, well, I'd be in the hunting industry. And he's like, well, there you go. Like, start a YouTube channel. And I remember thinking, I'm like, I would love to, because I had just looked into like getting on Sportsman's channel or something. I didn't even have this. I didn't even have a plan. I just was like, I want a hunting channel because I love watching hunting stuff. I love watching DVDs. And he said, maybe the demographic's not there now, but it will be. And that's kind of the approach we've always taken, is if we can get more eyeballs to this platform that wants to consume outdoor content, hunting, fishing, whatever it might be, the better it will be for anybody that's trying to do that. And I think we're to that place now where the majority of, I think, outdoor people, hunters and fishermen, are obtaining their outdoor content on some internet platform. If it's YouTube, if it's Vimeo, if it's Netflix, wherever it might be. But it's like, dude, there is like Steve Rinell's on Netflix now. Like, who would have ever guessed that?
For sure. I think we've always called it the playbook, right? Like, here's what we learned and figured out and like persevered through. And this is here, like, here you go. Here's what we've figured out.
Yeah.
And the friends and stuff that we've shared that with have taken that and then adapted it with their own skill sets and strengths and done well, whether that's Randy or you guys or whoever else. And I think that initial conversation on the rock was like just giving you guys the confidence and peace of mind that it could work. And I want to clarify, like, the YouTube, Google AdSense stuff is not a lot of money. Like, it's the smallest sliver in the bucket when it comes to like creating revenue for this type of a business model.
Yes.
It's a little bit,
100%.
but it ain't much. It's certainly not enough to quit and go full time, at least not in our space. Now, maybe if you've got multi-million followers or whatever, it might be different, but that's not the case with us. But it was trying to break down those sponsors to get them to believe in this new digital component, right? And it was also introducing merchandise that people would be interested in purchasing. And I know there's like some initial hesitation when you start a new brand or have a new business of, man, I don't want to like sell out. But at the same time, when you've built a community, and in your guys' case, it started in 2007, and you eventually like digitized it, call it 2015, there's a good amount of people there that want to just support you guys. Like, they appreciate the grind, the effort, the years, the dedication, the lack of, you making money. They want to support that, and they're willing to buy your merchandise, their hats, shirts, your calls, all that kind of stuff. And that it's like a weird paradigm shift in your brain to say, I'm not selling out. This is like our business now. And we're fortunate enough and lucky enough to have people that would be willing to actually spend their hard-earned dollars to support, our business, which is an interesting concept to come up with, particularly out of the gate. It's more challenging to just be like, man, I guess we do want to like sell hats and shirts and stuff to kind of support us, and people will enjoy it. But we just gave you guys the playbook, shared everything, super transparent. That's kind of what we've always done. But you guys ran with it. And I think that's the key. Like, the two main examples that come to my mind are, Randy Newberg ran with it, and he infused his own knowledge and experience and connections and is killing it. You guys ran with it, and you infuse your knowledge and experience and your vision, and you're killing it. Like, that's the beauty of it, is sometimes you just need like a little bit of a bump to know that this is going to work. And then you take over from there, and you just kind of do what makes sense for your business. And I think that's the coolest part about being able to share all of this and it not look at it at like some competitive landscape. And I referenced this last week in our podcast, but television shows never, ever, ever work together. They certainly didn't share information. It was just much more competitive and cutthroat. And that, I feel like digital content right now, like, that's the antithesis of that. Like, there's enough room for everybody. If we all are out there and we can all win together and we can all live this really incredibly blessed life, why wouldn't we want to share that? So it's
100%. I mean, you said antithesis. I don't even know what the hell that means, but you said some stuff there that touched me. But at the same time, what I want to say is I think we should go back to television. I think that we have. I think we
We're-
should throw out
that's
a
where it's at
challenge.
right now, Trent. That's
I
what
think
we're
we should
missing.
throw out a challenge. Hush and Born and Raised go back just for fun.
Just crank
On
it
the-
back.
On the outdoor channel and just see what happens. I think it'd be
like
a
it.
blast. Would it not be fun?
That would be pretty hilarious.
Is the outdoor
Yes.
channel still a thing?
Yeah, I don't know, but it's got to be. It's got to be.
Yeah, I
think it
mean,
would-
going back to like a couple of things Brian said, like after that happened, so after we had the talk on the rock, we'll call it the talk on the rock. I like that.
that show was
There
awesome.
should be a
too.
t-shirt based off that picture Brian took. Talk on
I
the
like
rock.
it.
But really, like you guys had the idea, right? And you're like trying to figure that out. And so that had to have been March, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, we do. Yeah, still a trip.
It was because it was the following January case when
That's
they
when it
went to
was.
ATA.
So it was the following. I was trying to figure this out in my head the other day on the timeline or on the podcast when we were talking about it. But so we were with you guys in March for our first trip ever doing Steelhead. We had the talk on the rock, and then it was the following January of 2016 that you guys went to ATA as a group. You, Trevor, Cody, and Steve, right? And
Yep.
that's where you.
Oh, it
guys
was just
came
it
up.
was just
It was just
Trent,
me,
and Cody.
Trevor, and Cody.
Okay.
That's what it was. Yeah.
But I remember, I
Yeah.
think it was either right when you guys landed or right before you guys took off. You called me. You're like, "We have this idea. Tell us what you think." And you had the idea to go and film like 50 days straight. of
Well,
just
it was
solid
even
elk
before
shooting.
that. It was that trip to ATA solidified some financing through some partnerships that you had hoped would materialize, and you guys
Well,
kind of like
we
right,
Well,
like,
this
had a
is-
chance to
yeah,
meet with them.
so we're fast forwarding.
we had to get everyone on board before we went to ATA
Yep.
to make sure that everyone would be in.
And this was the
Cody-
final countdown as far as for quitting jobs.
Yep.
Yeah, Cody came up with this idea. He's like, well, what if we just made a video every single day? And I'm like, dude, it takes us 2 months working every day, hundreds of hours to make 1.5 hours of DVD. What are you talking about? You know, but after meeting you guys and seeing kind of how to do the day by day, it like something clicked. And then it was like, okay, what can we do that just changes the paradigm of what's ever been done before? And that's where the idea came from. And we went to ATA and pitched them what we were going to do. And many said no. And a
I
few
would-
said yes.
I would totally disagree with you. We never had one person say no, but I remember.
Yeah, we had initially,
Tell them,
but-
put it out right there on the line right now.
no,
Do this.
no.
You're a terrible
But
person. I'm an honest
Be
man.
transparent here, Trev.
No, everybody that we went to that we thought that would support us said yes, every single one. And that's what we were so shocked about as far as that goes.
But you did have a couple fall off after that, right?
well, in the beginning of the conversation, and then by the end of the conversation, they would say yes. Do you not remember?
No, I do. I remember it just as well as, Trevor, I worked after this. I learned how to edit. I did all that when I was still cutting trees, and I learned how to edit, and I cut up all of our old DVDs and I threw them all on YouTube. I cut them up
Yeah.
into segments, into single hunts.
Yep.
And I cut them all up, and I learned that. And I was just like, and I threw it on YouTube. That was my ultimate goal, is to get out of the woods. That was what my ultimate goal was. And
And you guys
so-
you all started building your library from
Yeah.
old
Yeah, real
content,
quick.
right?
Exactly. So we had something for people to view. So that was the big
Yep.
thing. And that was our whole thing. And then when Cody came up with the whole, let's do this day by day thing, because we took that off of, all right, so what is everybody doing? What's popular right now? Well, it's the daily vlog. It's Casey. It's Casey's brother. It's all these people that are daily vlogging. And then we're just like, how can we turn that to our space?
For
And
sure.
our
Mhm.
space would have been, all right, let's daily vlog about a hunt. And
I remember like some calls too. I think it was with Cody, might have been with Trev, and trying to like finalize the concept of Land of the Free. Like what's the hook, right?
yeah,
And I
yeah.
think eventually talking through it, you guys settled in on this originally was going to be like a campfire kind of theme, but then it kind of like settled in
Correct.
on the public land theme. And at the
Yes.
time, there was a lot of like people attacking public lands and like the consideration of transferring them into state control. So it was a hot topic in 2017.
It
Yes.
was.
That was
Yes.
like what solidified like this project
That's
that
when
will be
we're
called
like,
Land of
it
the
has
Free.
to be called Land of the Free.
Yeah.
But we go back again, we go back for our annual steelhead trip. It was in March of
First week of March of
2017.
2017.
Yep.
Yeah.
And basically 1 full year after the talk on the rock. And we were there to give Trent a hug on his very last day ever of cutting trees.
And that,
March
yeah,
4th.
March, you guys remind
March
me of that
4th,
all the time.
2017
My memory's
is
terrible.
to me a day that is super special in the history of Born and Raised and in our friendship.
Yeah.
Was in a year, they took enough action, had enough initiative, enough perseverance to get the business to a point where they're willing to like go all in on themselves. And I'm going to tell you, like, I spent close to 20 years in corporate America. I've been fired twice. I've worked for some great leaders. I've worked for some terrible leaders. There's no better feeling in the world than betting on yourself and chasing what you truly want to do in life. And there's also a lot of risk that goes along with that.
I will back that up with exactly that.
But
Is
I tell you what, if I'm going to bet on anybody, I'm going to bet on myself.
yeah.
And that's,
You're right.
you just, you never know. You could have a change in leadership, a change in company culture, and your career could vanish in an instant. But when you work for yourself, you at least have some control of your destiny, and you have the ability to put forth the effort you feel is necessary to make it work.
Yeah.
And
It's on your governor, but
I got a ton.
different
Yeah.
topic. Different topic.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Too soon. Too soon.
Too soon.
Sorry.
Trev's dealing with some
Trev,
issues in the
you
state of
work-
Oregon, but
you
we're
work for
going to
yourself.
avoid that.
Eventually,
Sorry, go ahead.
right?
So March 4th, 2017, Trent quits his job as a timber faller. Cody had already quit his previous job, which is he sold the Full Draw Film Tour. We're all in now.
We're
Chips are
all
on
in
the
at this
table.
point. We're all in. At
And this is
point.
leading up to where we began this beautiful podcast, which 4 years ago today is the anniversary of Land of the Free 1.0. We're going to hunt elk for 50 straight days. We're going to cover 5 different states, and we're going to hunt with 4 different groups.
Yep.
Correct. We
were fortunate enough
We got to hunt twice.
to do it twice and also kick this bad boy off. And what I would say is one of the most incredible weeks of hunting I've ever been a part of.
It'll go down in the most incredible season of hunting, honestly, as far as that goes. We did, yeah. I don't know how far you want to elaborate on this, but I called in every single elk and I pretty much made it happen. How far do you want to elaborate, Case?
I think you
going back to where I
prove
started.
that your memory is terrible.
Oh, that's right. That's
Going
right.
back to where I
that's gonna be my
started
memory.
with this thing is, and Brian cut me off, and then we started reliving the whole timeline of Born and Raised. Was we talked about this in 2016, that year that you quit your job. We come up, you guys had the idea, and I was like, you guys should come to Idaho and hunt. Like, we can kill some big bulls. And then you guys came up with the Land of the Free project at TAC, and you guys invited us over to come hunt Roosevelt in Oregon. And we had talked about it, and it was awesome. We were so stoked to be there and so appreciative of you guys inviting us. And then I remember getting into camp, and Trevor goes, "There's 2 rules." I go, "All right, what's the rules?" And you go, "Rule 1, you kill the first legal bull." And I'm like, "All right, cool. I'm down with that." And you said, "Rule 2, you draw when we tell you to draw." I'm like, I've been hunting elk since I was like 10 years old. I know, like, if I see their horns, or if I hear a bugle, like, I know when to draw. Like, what are you talking about? I'm like, cool. I'm down with both those things. Well, opening morning, I experienced you draw when we tell you to draw, because it was literally, I had pine trees 6 yards in front of me, nothing open. And I'm like looking at Cody, like, why are we stopped here? Like, why is this our spot? And he kept calling, and all of a sudden he just goes, draw, draw, draw. I'm like, I have no lane, dude. Like, I was used to like hunting Rockies where they come into like 40 or 50 yards. If they don't see you, they hang up, and you never have a shot. He's like, draw, draw, draw. I remember drawing. I was never even anchored. I was just drawing. You do this, remember, Trent? Not this.
Oh, and
Not
you're looking
cool.
around, and you're looking around.
You're like looking back
Yeah.
at Cody.
It's like, so
So I'm like, all right, cool. And then all of a
Like, you
sudden I
guys
hear
playing a joke on
antlers
me or what?
breaking off the bushes. And I'm like, oh, this is for real.
this is
6
real.
yards.
6 yards.
Such an awesome video.
He was a 6 point. Just if we're gonna get this on
Just,
record.
I mean,
He was
if you're in a
I
score,
mean, I
if
shot
you're
a
in
6-point
score-
Rosie before Trent did, so no big deal.
Oh wow.
Wow, shots.
But that bull, he peeked his
You're
head
not
through.
wrong.
Order on,
You're
too.
not. You're not wrong. You're
He
not
peeked his head through the thickest reprod, and you
wrong.
got just a gorgeous like frontal shot.
6 yard frontal shot.
And
But-
that night,
I remember we talked about that frontal shot the night before season
did.
as well.
what the funny
because
thing
we
is,
said
if you rewatch
could
that
happen.
video, Casey and Cody are talking on the landing, glassing down to those elk, and you literally are like, "Yeah." Cody's like, "All right, let's go." And one of you guys says like, "Yeah, I'm gonna call him in to like 6 yards, and then you're gonna shoot him
Yeah.
frontal."
Yeah. I remember
He
that.
called it.
Yeah, he called
It was
it.
it was amazing.
Cody
But you guys
probably-
came back
yeah.
to camp that night, completely slow played the group, because I was with Trent and Steve, and we straight up grinded it out all day, and really didn't get into any.
Yeah, I
action
was part of
whatsoever.
that slow play.
What
Yeah,
day-
I was
yeah.
part of that crew.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I think it was just Cody and Casey.
it was
It's just me
yeah.
and Cody. Like, we started the day with me, Cody, and you, Trev, on the bikes. We covered a
You
ton of
guys
country
ditched me.
falling, which was fun.
Mm.
And then I think you were going to go glass and try to find some more bulls. And
Yeah.
Remember, there was a forest fire and there's a bunch of smoke.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Super
And we're
slow.
like,
That's what I was
man,
going to get
maybe we should-
into. It wasn't like a season like, okay, we got this, guys. We were all over the map. I mean,
It was
we
the
were,
usual.
Yeah.
It was the usual, but at the same time, if you want to fast forward just a few days, we were camping on the side of a gravel road, like by
Yeah,
you know,
they kicked us
like-
out of that spot.
They
yeah,
did.
we're like, we may not get into this area. It was, and then it just escalated from there.
It was a great evening though. Like we got
Yeah.
slow played. They showed the shot.
Oh
We were
my
so
gosh.
excited. We made a decision to come back and
Which was good.
retrieve the elk in the morning, which was the right decision. It was so thick in there. It would have been super difficult to track that animal at night through that reprod. But we recovered him in the morning, salvaged all the meats. Everything was great.
got stung
And
by bees. It was
Casey got
awesome.
stung in the face by a hornet.
I did get stung in the face. I
Yellow,
heard-
Casey-
yellow jacket.
What are like the maybe two things that stick out in your head that you learned or that resonate with you today from that first trip?
The first thing is like I said, I hunted Rockies all my life. Killed my first Rocky when I was like 15. Rosies will come in closer, in my opinion, because it's thicker country. They want to see elk, want to see what they're being called to, right? What sounds they're hearing. They'll come in closer usually. And reprod really sucks. I think Cody
Yeah.
calls it neck lettuce, where you're walking
terrible.
through the reprod and
It's
you
not
get to where you're going, and you literally have bushels of pine needles and all sorts of things on your neck.
It's not that
And Trent did tell me
At least-
before this happened, he goes, if I say run, if we're walking, we're hiking, and I say run, just run. I'm like, from
Run.
what? He goes, don't worry, just run. We have underground bees. I'm like, what? And so we were tracking that bull, and I don't think I stepped on a hive or anything, but a bee came up and stung my head, and I just
Oh, there was a
running.
hive right there on that reprod, on a reprod tree that someone hit the limb from.
And I
That's
just
what it
ran
was.
because I got stung and it hurt really bad.
Yeah.
The things that stick out to me is a Polanski.
Yeah,
I
And-
never,
Stan.
yeah,
and Polanski for sure.
never been affiliated or associated with one of those tools, but necessary during fire
Yes.
season.
So in
Um,
Oregon, you have to have like where we hunt, even right now, like in my pickup right now, you have to have a shovel, you have to have a 5-gallon fire extinguisher, and you have to have a
5
pick,
pounds.
some kind of a kind of a pickaxe or something of that nature. So
Pulaski.
Carry that.
Thank you.
Yep. And carry that with you at all times.
So we had that rings a bell to me. The other thing that stood out to me was the level of excitement you guys would have if we found a fresh rub, because in the West, away from the coast, a rub is just like elk have been somewhere around here, like, but they're probably not here right now.
Hey, there was on the coast here on this summer sometime. Could have been the last 2 months.
On the coast, though, if you find a fresh rub, like, let's get it on.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, I've been scouting for the last 3 days. So season starts day after tomorrow here where we're at. And it's like I found fresh rubs the last 2 days, and Katie barred the door, bust out the champagne. We got this.
Like OnX waypoint, ding, we are going here.
Done.
Tell me, explain why that is, Trent.
Well, I mean, maybe just because we're idiots, but it's a lot of for the fact that just like when you find rubs where we're from, you're close to them. So Roosevelts and Rockies are a little different in the fact that Roosevelts don't move quite as much as Rockies. So if I can find the area that he's rubbing in, and I can find kind of where he's going to be, we can find him in the next, I mean, if it's within a week or so, we can general vicinity, we can possibly find him. A Rocky, on the other hand, I think they're way more mobile. They move a lot more. They cover a lot more distance to go find cows and stuff. And they're a lot more vocal as well. But at the same time, like we've told you guys a lot, if we can get a Roosevelt to bugle, and you guys have seen that, I think when you've been here, as far as like with BMAX Bull in the swamp, we never even had a bugle. We just heard a stick pop. And if it's like, okay, yep, here he comes, something of that nature. And it's just like, they're so much more territorial. We would so much rather call a Roosevelt than a Rocky any day of the week, because it seems like they are big man of the mountain, and they are wanting to come in and fight.
Yeah. So that first year, like, I feel like we killed every bull we heard bugle, right? So we heard
Trent and I had one encounter.
Yeah, we didn't. Remember on that corner of the road, we ditched the bikes. The bull was bugling out. That was tough because the wind was weird, and that bull was not with his cows. He was off of his cows. He came and got to his cows, and by that time it was over. Yeah, that was the encounter I was thinking of too.
I think the interesting things that stood out was, with a Rocky, a lot of times you'll expect like a pretty big bugle response, but with the Rosies, it was a stick popping, some chuckles, like very subdued, but enough to let you know that bull's heard you and he's gonna get pissed off pretty quick, and we definitely need to try to fire him up. And in the case of my bull, you guys made that happen, right? Like Trev was sound checking up every little like finger drainage, and we're in the swamp bottom. And Casey and I were literally like, "Oh, look at these like wild blackberries. These are so delicious." And Trev ripped a bugle off, and they're like, "Go, go, 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 go." We're like,
"Everybody run!"
Yeah. And it was they heard that stick pop, and we got set up and through a bunch of calling that Trent and Trevor were doing.
I was calling too.
And Casey
was vlogging and calling at the same time.
But that bull,
he was like, "Hey guys, look where we're at."
He worked himself.
I need my cow call
right out in front of us, and he never bugled. He chuckled and he raked a tree. That was it. That's all he did. But he was fired up enough to come to those calls, and lucky enough to get a shot off. The learning experience there is always stop a bull. Their stride, although slow, he was just in a walk. One step is enough to move it from like dead center lungs to liver gut.
It's even at a short range too.
That was at like 35 yards.
32, I think it was.
That quick of a step made that difference. He was bleeding like crazy for the first 100 yards. But what happened is, we never talked about this in the video, but the arrow pulled out. And when it pulled out, it pulled like intestine and stomach matter through the entrance hole, and it plugged it up. So that's where we went from tremendous amount of blood to literally nothing. and it took hours and hours and hours to finally get back on the blood trail. And we got lucky and we eventually found it in miracle fashion.
Lucky is an understatement.
That tissue clogging up the entrance hole was critical. That it was really just put us in a really world of hurt. And we learned a lot. Like that elk went through some stuff in a way that you'd never ever would expect a wounded elk, fatally wounded elk.
We were crawling on our hands and knees, remember?
Uphill,
Dude,
mind you.
I remember thinking when we were doing this, like, there's no way this elk came through here. But Trevor would be like, blood.
Yeah.
Blood.
There's a little tiny drop.
Yeah. I'm like, how is this elk? Do you think he crawled through that?
800-pound animal coming through.
How would he have got through that?
Well, no, it was a Roosevelt, a 1,300-pound animal coming through like that kind of
2 tons.
stuff.
Dude. He's like 4,000.
Maybe a ton.
That was an emotionally draining experience for sure.
I think if you didn't cry on that hunt, you weren't on that hunt.
If you guys have not watched this hunt yet, I don't even know what it's called. You should go watch.
Well, if you're watching the YouTube videos, we'll link these hunts that we're talking about, so you can go check them out on the Born and Raised channel. But they were.
And I believe so. Casey's hunt was day 1.
Yep.
And I believe yours was day 4.
I think so. Yeah, we moved locations
after we got kicked off of the fort.
We got kicked off of the land that we had permits on.
Yeah, Casey shot the 26th, recovered 27th, and I killed the 29th.
Is that what it was? Okay.
Steve.
And then it was just a sleigh. And then it was just a sleigh ride.
Steve killed on the 30th,
and then
Trev killed on the 31st.
The 30th, we go drop back into the swamp. That's why I was saying we killed every bull we heard. We drop back in the swamp. We kill Steve's bull. We're packing out. It was
because when we were packing my bull out, we heard a bugle.
Yeah.
So we went in with Steve, killed the bull. And when we were packing Steve's out, we heard a bugle. Trevor and Steve, we had to leave, but Trevor and Steve had to leave.
You were supposed to stay another day, but I think you guys are like, I don't
know. I remember
I know where this is going.
I remember the phone call.
I guarantee you.
I know where this is going. We heard a bull bugle. I'm not packing that stuff around.
Casey looked at BMAC and he's like, pack your shit.
My brother-in-law was getting married. That is the true statement. But we knew
I was in Nowheresville, Wyoming, and I get a call from Casey, I think, and he's just like, "Yeah, there's bulls going down everywhere." It's like, we had another one at the last. He goes,
"We're retreating.
I'm out. We're getting
put up the white flag. We're out.
We're getting the hell out. We're getting the hell out of here. We're getting the hell out of here."
Again, 4 bulls before September 1st.
You just don't. You can't.
Pretty incredible. And Trev's bull was an absolute beast. Absolutely.
We killed 5 bulls in the first 8 days of that season in Oregon. It was just one for the books.
It really was.
It really was.
The Land of the Free 1.0.
We lost Trent.
Will go down in history as
a swamp.
Yeah, I wonder what happened there. Like
he's going to the swamp.
Coastal internet failure.
I don't know. He might be on dial-up.
We'll see if he taps back in. You can text him, see if he wants to try to get back into this. We could easily add him. He was on his computer, I felt. Maybe not. Maybe he's on his phone. But Land of the Free 1.0, quite legendary.
Yeah, it was. We basically put all of our eggs in that basket, and it was like it worked.
Yeah,
and it couldn't have gone any better.
You also hunted with Corey Jacobson in Wyoming. You hunted with Phelps in Colorado. Back with us.
Yeah, we hunted with Corey and Dirk.
Yeah. And then you hunted in Montana, or Trent did anyway. So it was a grind of a season, but truly a game-changing series. Again, if you've never consumed that content, I would highly encourage it, particularly this time of year as you're getting pumped up for September and elk hunting. Go check out Land of the Free on the Born and Raised channel. And we were lucky enough to do it all over again in 2.0. We had a super enjoyable Montana hunt that had equal levels of success, I would say. I mean,
I killed my birthday bull there.
Trev's birthday bull. Cody killed a bull. Ty killed a bull. That might have been one of the most exhausting weeks of my life. We packed out 3 elk in like 6 days. And
yes,
none of them were what I would consider like easy pack outs per se. Like they all had some pretty substantial effort behind them, particularly the last day. I rewatched that video recently and I was like, oh my God, I'm so tired. This is going to be super hard pack out. And Trev was like, this is going to be the worst pack out of your life. And you kind of nailed it, Trev. It was terrible.
which bull was that?
Cody's
bull.
Which bull was that?
Yeah.
I crushed it. I got to the truck first.
You did. I was lagging, man. I was whipped.
I was just trying to get out of grizzly country, I believe.
That was the first time I've ever been a little bit nervous. Because I remember I had to stop and go to the bathroom and you guys just kept walking. And next thing I know, I look and I have a pack of bloody meat sitting there. And I'm like, well, just felt a little uneasy.
That area we were in, we had called the bear biologist before we went in there. And he was like, oh yeah, we flew it 2 days ago. We counted 3 sows with cubs, or, so like 8 bears or whatever. We're like, sweet.
Let's go there.
And then it happened like off record, like 2 years later or a year after that, 2 guys got attacked in that same exact spot, almost.
It was a hot zone for grizzly attacks.
Brian's trying to talk me back to going back there this year, and I'm like, yeah, I'm good, dude.
I remember we spent like an hour on the side of the road talking to the biologist.
Yeah, and we were all a little nervous.
Yeah, Cody comes up to me. So he said, there's a lot of grizzlies. Do you think Case is gonna want to go in there? I'm like,
nope.
Maybe tame it down just a little bit. Just a little bit.
So I got the tamed down version of what he said.
Anymore though, man. So much of what you hunt in Montana and Wyoming and Idaho, like you just have to prepare like there are grizzly bears in that area. Even if they say like, oh, there's none here. There's so many reports of bears being seen in so many areas that you maybe
that have historically never had grizzlies. And that's what the biologist told us. Was
he legitimately said that.
If I'm in Montana, I just prepare for grizzlies because they're everywhere.
Yeah. So pack your bear spray.
Anyway,
pack your sidearms.
We got to wrap this. I don't think Trent's getting back on, but
I got a couple questions real quick. So we threw this out to the Instagram folks. So Trev, you're on the spot. Hot fire Q&A question. Favorite arrow broadhead combo?
I've been shooting the Easton FMJs. I've gone back and forth with this thing. I've used everything. I've used 4 blades. I've used 3 blades. I've used 2-blade single bevels. And this year I'm trying something new. I'm doing an expandable.
You are.
I've done inserts. I've done outserts. I've added weight. I've taken away weight. I've used the 125s. Now I'm using 100 grain expandable with FMJs. I'm always trying something new. So I don't have a tried and true.
Interesting. Favorite state to hunt elk in?
I would say my favorite state to hunt elk in is somewhere where I haven't hunted before. So it's not a state, it's not a place, it's a different place. That would be
the newness of it all.
I love going somewhere that's totally new because it makes you want to hike over that next mountain more than maybe, because if I hiked over it last year, I know that it was an absolute hellhole to get out of, and I may not want to go over it. But if I don't know what's on the other side,
you're gonna go.
Then I'll go in there. But I don't know. I hunted Wyoming once, and it was awesome. I haven't been back since. That was 7 years ago, I think. Has a lot of sentimental value because it was our first time ever out of state, and we didn't know if us local Oregon boys could do it, and we all went over there and we tagged out in one week. It was awesome. Now you could go back there and probably blank. I don't know.
For sure.
But what I don't like about it is we found out that you have to be with a guide or a resident to hunt the wilderness. So This is
Kind of a bummer.
That's the hard thing about that state.
Advice for someone just starting out filming hunts.
I would say that most guys are worried about what to film on. Like, what camera equipment do I need? What, they wait for the perfect thing to have, and then they never do it because they don't have the perfect thing. They haven't spent enough money to justify it. Well, dude, get your iPhone out, what I'm using right now, and film a hunt and post that. I don't know if you guys watching are familiar with Cameron Haynes. He has a giant social media following, and he does it all through his phone. And I think it's working pretty well for him. I just think that just break down the barriers, just find an excuse to hit record and put together a story. That's what everyone wants to hear.
Yeah, I would double down on that. Just be like,
just needs to be authentic. That's it.
it'd be like somebody saying, hey, what should I take a picture of a kill photo with? It'd be like, anything you have. This works to take a kill photo. Like, this works to video as well. Just video.
Yeah.
It might not be the best, but it's something that you can watch. Your kids can watch back. Like, it's something. Just use it.
Yeah, I think if you start telling a story, when you start out your company or whatever, you're going to have 0 followers, right? And then you're going to have 1 follower and 2, right? And the only thing that grows the model or your brand is authenticity of what you're doing. And if you tell a good story and it's authentic, then it'll grow. That's it.
Love it.
Tips for mid to late season September archery elk.
Mid to late season September archery elk. The bulls have gotten, the bigger bulls are starting to move in and get the cows. A lot of times they're going to be super vocal. This is different for Rockies versus Roosevelt's, but what we found is the bigger bulls will be really vocal, but they'll push off and they'll just keep pushing off. And so what we do, and it doesn't work for everyone, and this may not be what works all the time, is we're just super aggressive. And so we'll just, if the herd's going to move, we just move with them, wait till they bed down that midday. And once you've gotten to where their bedding grounds are, then all the cows are sitting down, and then that bull will feel safe to come and check on you finally. And so he'll get up out of his bed, come over a few hundred yards and check on you, and you can get your opportunity. So it's just being real persistent. We find them and listen to them in the morning, stay with the herd the whole way through the day, and then try to kill them once they've bedded.
Sorry, I'm just admitting Trent.
There he is.
Trent back?
He was saying it wasn't invited back. I forgot I was the host.
That's why I wasn't seeing it.
Hope you guys like podcasts.
You're so rude.
There he is. He's back,
Wow.
folks.
There he is, Trent.
We're just going through
I don't
some
have a picture
quick
of him,
fire.
but I got his voice.
I apologize. Where's my screen? If you guys can't see me, we can't do this.
I can't see you.
We haven't seen you for the last 10 minutes.
Watch your mouth. Okay. It's shut off. It's
been the best part of the podcast.
It's a Macintosh.
Hold on.
Start video.
That helps.
Hope you guys like
There he
this.
is.
There he is.
He's back, ladies and
He's
gentlemen.
back. He's back.
We're just
Okay.
going through some quick fire questions off our Instagram poll. Trev's been handling them nicely. I'll ask the same one. Favorite arrow broadhead combo for you, Trent?
Yeah, something that's sharp and long and pointy and goes the right direction. Next question.
I
Next
expected that answer entirely.
Sounds familiar.
Wildfires. Do you hunt near or close to wildfires? Do you have any reservations if there's an active wildfire near your zone, but yet open to hunt?
Oh, Trent's had firsthand experience with this.
Yeah, a bunch of that.
Homie.
No, as far as, like while you're hunting, no. After the math, as far as like wildfires that have been previous fires and stuff like that with new growth and everything, huge people key off of those in that 2 and 3 year zone.
But
Next
Trent, you
question.
had an instance where you were hunting and there were wildfires started on
Yeah,
the
that was
drainage
scary.
over.
That was scary as hell because
that was a scary time. I mean, they were evacuating hunters of the mountain.
yeah, no, that was a different deal. I was with Brady Miller, super nice guy, by the way, side note. Anyway, and there was a fire down below us. We were way up in this canyon that we'd had elk the year before. It was in Wyoming, and we thought the fire was actually headed straight toward us, honestly, because when you go up on, like, if you're coming out of a canyon and you can see over the rise, well, what we couldn't see is the fire was actually going up the other hillside, the opposite hillside. And we thought, well, it's coming straight at us. And there was so much smoke that it was just like, we got to get out of here. So we went straight down. Yeah, it was a little bit. It was. And we went straight down to the creek. My thing was like, let's go straight to the creek, because all else fails, we can just, bury ourselves in water. Went straight down back to the creek and then went out and hiked out the creek, and we were fine. We were okay. Everything was fine, but it was scary there for a little bit.
What is your favorite state to hunt elk in?
Man, it's changed around a lot in the last couple of years because we haven't hunted too many states until we did. So it was Wyoming. There's a place in Wyoming in my heart, actually, because that was kind of where I got to cut my teeth out of state. So I would say Wyoming would always be that place for me, but it wasn't terrible going to Arizona and New Mexico. I think New Mexico could be a really neat place too.
Real contender.
Yeah.
Where
good states.
When it comes to this year's content, Land of the Free 4.0, is that a thing? And if so, or whatever you guys are going to call it, or what are you going to do this year? Where are you kicking things off at?
Oh man, that's a great question, and it's one that I can answer too. It's high as a cent. So this year is the year of Oregon, and it's crazy to say that, but so what we did honestly is in the state of Oregon, and so we work off of a point system. So every year you get a point, and it's 365 days and you get 1 point. And this year I added it up, just the points that we've drawn this year. And I think to get our tags this year in our own state, we burned 64 years worth of points. So to just put that in perspective of what that looks like. And so it's really cool actually from our point of view, is because we get to actually start in our state and we're finishing in our state. Yeah. So we are going to hunt Roosevelt's to start out with. Trevor's got a tag. He's going to kill a giant. And then we have whatever. A giant spike.
Any legal bull. That's the rule,
dude. You told me
any legal bull. Yeah. Draw early.
Draw when I tell you to.
Do not.
You have to actually call me on the phone, and I'm going to be like, "All right, draw now."
Yeah. But we're going to go from there, and then we're going to go over east to where we have some giant tags, and it's awesome. And so Cody and Steve, they've got drawn for some great units, and we're going to go over there and hunt. Should be some incredible footage. And then my tag, I don't mean to boast or brag or anything like that. I never do. So anyway, but I have a great rifle tag. So I actually cashed all my points. And a lot of people, if you followed us lately in the last year or so, you'll know me and Trevor have gotten a lot into rifle hunting, we've done a ton of really fun. It's super really fun. And we've done a lot of bow hunting in the past, but rifle hunting is super fun. I mean, super fun. And it's just one of those things where I cashed all my points in on a rifle tag, and I drew it. And so I will be hunting a rifle tag for Oregon this year, and I couldn't honestly be more excited about it. I have not had a bow in my hand. The last 2 years, I've just wanted to help people. I've wanted to call for people or film for people or something like that. And so the last 2 years, I've not had a weapon in my hand. And so this will be the first year that I actually get to hunt again. And it's, you know, whether it be, and that's a whole thing. Like we're talking all the time about breaking down barriers. That's a time like, man, it doesn't matter if it's a bow, if it's a rock, if it's a stick, if it's a gun, if it's whatever you can go out there and do something with, man, it's awesome. And I'm trying to get back
or a camera
to rifle hunting or a camera, yeah, whatever.
Well, I'm gonna call you a dirty dog liar because you killed a deer last year with a rifle in Montana.
I'm talking elk. I thought we were talking elk.
Well,
I thought we were talking elk.
Be specific. How many points did it take you to draw that tag you have this year?
18 years.
Jeez.
Yeah, 18 years. So
it's like a exciting but sad moment all wrapped up into one. The way
if you think, I mean, you think about that in a time perspective. I mean, I'm super mature, a lot of wisdom. That's almost half my lifetime. Yeah.
So many lies.
It's crazy to think about, really.
Wow.
The other questions that was prevalent, we see this often, is when is the next collaboration? And is it happening this year between Hush and Born and Raised? This year is probably not looking so great as of yet. But I'll say this from my perspective. We have a hell of a lot of fun together. That is undeniable. Every single thing we've ever done, be it fishing, elk hunting, is so much fun. And I think people can feel that when they watch the videos. I really believe that. And it's not like ironic. Like, we love the Born and Raised crew as brothers. We are arguably some of their biggest fans and absolutely enjoy all the times we spend together with them. Because of distance and space and logistics, and we've got like a lot of different people involved between family and friends and partners and all this stuff, it doesn't always pencil out to get together. But when we do, we have so much fun. And we usually
just like it is every time.
Yeah, we usually have some pretty good success too. So whenever it does happen again, we will cherish it. We will love it. We will try to capture it because it really is as enjoyable as it looks, and probably more so, you know, that gets edited out of those videos, but certainly on the radar screen for future opportunities.
Let's do it.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, we are all in. We are all in. I say that's what I'm thinking. Let's do like, I don't know, Sitka Blacktail and just release it on the Outdoor Channel. I'm thinking next year. I
think we might can get on Sports Center at this point.
I bet we may or may not. We could make Sports Center. We could do, I don't know. I mean,
just a pursuit channel.
Yeah, Barstool, something.
We got this.
Oh, we got Barstool wrapped up, dude.
Easy peasy.
Yeah. I would echo Brian's response. Like, it's not that we don't want to hang out together, because we always do. Like, we're the best of friends. We love hanging out with each other. Things just draw us in different directions for whatever reason, but we make it a point to like figure something out every year. If it doesn't work out, you know, understandably, but Steelhead trip is always on the books, and if we can make something out, you know, somewhere else, which me and Trevor have been working on.
Gonna say last year.
Do it, great. If not, me and Trevor are doing it.
We're getting close.
Mexico.
Right. Last year was rough. Last year was rough, man. It's just driven. Oh man, the Steelhead. But like you say, Case, you know what? Let's go somewhere. Let's go somewhere else. Let's do something.
We got a couple ideas too. We just got back from a cool adventure that would also be a riot.
Yeah, are you guys Alaska residents now?
Yeah,
or pretty much. Do you guys just hang out here now?
We're looking north and south of the borders of the lower 48. Mexico could provide some great opportunities for like the Coues deer. There's a ton of stuff we could do to extend our seasons and the chance to do stuff together. Because like we mentioned,
Trevor, hold on. Let's just do this right now. Coues deer.
Dude.
Coues deer.
Let's
you guys
do
in? Trevor and I can spot blacktails like it's nobody's job.
Okay, Mexico, January. You guys in?
Bass fishing.
Coos deer.
Yes.
So
Coos deer.
and then bass fishing.
Coos deer.
Now we're really talking.
I'm gonna go bass fishing.
I want to go coos deer. But
I'm with you,
Yep.
Trev. I'm with you.
So
Anyways, guys, we're trying to figure everything out. Like, we just want to do this podcast because we're going into season right now. These boys are going to be out in the woods. When you
Tomorrow.
watch this podcast, they'll be out in the Roosevelt woods chasing the Roosevelt elk around.
yeah,
If you guys haven't followed them, please go follow them and watch them. They're amazing. They're probably our favorite people in the world, besides our families, without a doubt.
I'm gonna hold you to
We've
that.
had a lot of good adventures with them, but we want to do
No
a
doubt.
podcast before September hit, before all the things started going on, and that's what we're doing tonight. So we appreciate you guys watching. This is episode number 23
23. We're cranking these down.
of
We're
the
getting there.
Hushlife
We're getting more
podcast.
consistent.
What do you
we're-
guys? Are you once a weekend? Once a
Trying
month?
to.
Every Wednesday.
Nice.
We're trying.
Nice.
BMAC, you asked like, how do we get started, right? Well, take this podcast right now, for example. When did you guys reach out to us and say, hey, you guys want to do a podcast together? How long ago did we plan this?
Half an hour before it started.
Yes, a half hour before it started.
I was like, I'm sure you guys have nothing going on since opening day
Yeah,
is
you're
like
not trying
tomorrow.
to-
Yeah, opening day is like tomorrow. So
Hence the
anyone listening
reason-
to this, just find
Yeah.
zero excuses and just start whatever your dream is.
That's right.
100%.
That's
Start
right.
it now.
And that,
If you're not currently doing so, make sure you go follow Born and Raised Outdoors on their YouTube channel. Go subscribe to that. You can also follow them on the Instagram, Born and Raised Outdoors. They recently started a call company, Born and Raised Call Company. Go check that out. Everything from elk
Yeah.
calls to, dare I say, waterfowl and turkey calls.
We're all
The
in.
full meal
yeah,
deal,
above
right?
the rim, above the rim. Anything that has a wild game involved with it, yeah, we can put it in your lap.
I want to hear
Axis
your
deer
sick
call
calls.
coming in July of 2023.
Yep.
Yep, nice. We got it.
Sorry.
Make sure you guys
Yeah.
check them out. Land of the Free 4.0 Oregon edition will be forthcoming sometime later this fall. I know I cannot wait to watch it. And we'll be anticipating the text messages of success throughout the course of August, potentially even, and certainly September as we work through our fall season. Trevor, Trent, we love you. Like
Love you
brothers.
guys too.
Cody, we love you. Steve, we love you. Sorry you
you
guys
guys
couldn't join us today, but we are absolutely thrilled to call you friends, to call you business partners, and certainly looking forward to what you bring to the table 2021.
100%.
Let's do it. Love
do
you
it.
guys.
Thanks for watching.
Love you
fellas.
guys. Thanks, y'all.
Love you guys.